Everyone's favorite time. Predictions, where no matter what you say, there's always going to be someone who's mad. So you know what? I've stopped caring. Let's all just agree that we're all wrong. So the group stages of the Asian Cup are done. Now we have the knockout stages, which are in about 3 days as of this recording. And unlike the last video, I'm going to predict from the round of 16 all the way to the final this time. So let's do it. Tajikistan versus the United Arab Emirates. Runners-up of Group A versus runners-up of Group B. I'm going to start this out by simply saying the UAE are one of the biggest frauds in this knockout stage. They barely escaped Hong Kong, only drew with Palestine because Oday Daba couldn't find the back of the net, and quite honestly, in their last game against Iran, they could have conceded like 4 times. Also, no exaggeration whatsoever, this is the worst team when it comes to winning the ball back. When it comes to positives, at least the United Arab Emirates have scored goals. I mean, their attack is constantly coming to the rescue of their defense practically. And then we have Tajikistan, a young squad, inexperienced, and they've showed that throughout the entire group stages, but they've improved with every game. Peter Saget's system is a well-oiled machine. The defense is solid, conceding just twice, albeit the group wasn't really that difficult. Midfielder Ehsan Panshaba has 7 chances created, joint most of anyone. He also has 2 assists as well. The only issue is that because of their inexperience, Tajikistan's finishing is quite honestly awful. And that could be the difference maker. That could be what invites the UAE back into the game. But I'm gonna bet on Tajikistan's first 2 goals of the tournament against Lebanon finally kicking things off for them. So I think Tajikistan narrowly take this one. Next is Iraq versus Jordan, the surprise winners of Group D versus the Group E third placers. Jordan did well to dismantle Malaysia and then expose the fraudulent Koreans. Throughout the tournament, they've also been the masters of the direct attack, scoring twice from them. The problem is, Iraq has honestly emerged as one of the favorites to win it all. In my personal opinion, they're probably the most convincing team coming out of the group stages. Because coming off a disappointment in 2019, this team has blossomed. High-flying attack headed by Ayman Hussein, who has 4 goals already. Ali Jassim and Mohamed Ali make this team really fun to watch as well. Also, watch out for Zidane Iqbal. They held off favorites Japan to practically turn the whole competition's favorites upside down. And on top of all of that, the team has depth. Lots of it. So I think this is a pretty easy win for Iraq. Australia versus Indonesia. The Group B winners versus the third placers of Group D. Australia, of course, are the favorites on paper. They're second in ball recoveries despite only being the 8th highest pressing team, and from them there's only been complete domination in every third. Throughout the defense and midfield, the Aussies have numerous outlets like Harry Sutar and Aziz Behich. They're also top 5 in most shots created, build-ups, and passing sequences. The problem, though, is that they have no one to finish any of those chances, which could open the door for underdogs Indonesia. Marcelino Ferdinand in particular is the catalyst here. Not only is he a danger to defenders with the ball, but also without it. 8 tackles won, which is the second most in the tournament, and he also has tons of recoveries. The team is also highly efficient on counters with pacey and highly energetic players everywhere. And they're also not afraid to disrupt any kind of rhythm. For me, this could be tighter than what most people are assuming. Honestly, I could see this going into extra time. But in the end, I think Australia's experience just barely sends them to the quarters. Saudi Arabia versus South Korea. Group F winners versus the Group E runners-up. Both of these teams haven't really been that convincing to me, especially South Korea. This is a team with some of Asia's best players currently. Son Heung-min, Min Jae Kim, just to name a few. But I think we've underestimated how underwhelming Jurgen Klinsmann's tactics have been, because the attack has no cohesion. It's practically being carried by Lee Kang-in's magic. The most recent 3-all draw to Malaysia shows once again you can't just have one elite defender and 3 terrible ones. But it honestly gets worse because this is the highest pressing team in the tournament, but it seems like they have no actual pressing structure, because that pressing has not translated to anywhere near the ideal amount of ball recoveries. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia are ranked 3rd in recoveries won, and they're 2nd highest in pressing, by the way. Saudi Arabia's defense so far has shown some solidity under Mancini. They've only conceded just 1 goal, and it was a questionable penalty. And the attack has been decent as well, 2nd most build-up sequences, but there's really nothing to show for it. Mohamed Kano has been key to this team though, and they'll hopefully hope for more of his attacking contributions as the Saudis enter the knockouts. For this one, I'm going to go with Saudi Arabia wins this one late, while South Korea and the UAE will battle for who's the biggest fraud. Next up, we have Iran versus Syria, Group C winners versus the Group A third placers. Due to the group opponents being pretty inferior, the Iranians have been experimenting a lot with their squad. They finally whipped out their best squad against the UAE and they beat the hell out of them. The score may not really show that, but if you watch the game, it was not even close. Once more, the focus of the attack is going to be on Mehi Taremi and Sardar Azmoun, who have 3 goals between them. Sardar also has 2 assists to his name and 6 chances created. Defense, it's kind of hard to tell up to this point. There's a lot of experience, but could age play against the team if they make it past the last 16? On the other hand, we have Syria, who grinded through a pretty tough group, and honestly, I would not take them lightly. A goal versus India took them through, but the more impressive performance was against Uzbekistan when they drew with them 0-0. With the Uzbeks wasting possession, the Syrians made the most of theirs and created a couple effective sneak attacks. 2 dual nats have been essential to Syria's ball winning. Jalil Elias, who was born in Argentina, and Abdul Rahman Weiss, who was born in Greece. This all said, I think Iran still have this in the bag. Bahrain versus Japan. After a poor start, Bahrain bounced back with 2 straight wins to win their group. Meanwhile, Japan shocked everyone by losing to Iraq and finishing second in theirs. And this is pretty big considering they were the clear favorites to win the whole thing. Now, Bahrain go into this matchup with 2 straight clean sheets to their name, which is even better along with their 2 straight wins. And winger Ali Madan so far has had a great tournament as the main creator for this team. Then there's Japan. The reputation as clear favorites has definitely taken a hit since. Best team in recoveries won and sequences created. Wataru Endo in particular has been brilliant. Not to mention, Japan's comeback win versus Vietnam shows that this team has strong character and they've dominated in possession in every game. However, there's 3 issues that honestly could pose a good amount of trouble for Japan. Issue number 1, and this kind of follows up with the possession. No one can finish. This isn't anything new. Japan struggled with this for honestly decades. And it's no different here. Ritsu Dewan's stats in particular are a perfect encapsulation of it all. 10 shots, none on target, over 1 XG. Onto the second one, Japan's defense honestly has been looking pretty messy as of late. And you especially saw that in their loss versus Iraq. And that segues well into the next issue, which is the goalkeeper, Zion Suzuki. Quite simply, if you just aim near post versus Japan, the ball will probably end up in the back of the net. This all said, I think because of the difference in quality, Japan still go on to the quarterfinals. Next, Qatar versus Palestine, Group A winners versus the Group C third placers. Qatar has been nothing short of dominant in their group. 5 goals, none conceded. Akram Afif and Almoez Ali are once again putting on a show for the tournament. Afif in particular already has 3 goals, but it's honestly hard to tell how good this team is because their group was quite frankly very easy. Lebanon's defenders were traffic cones. Tajikistan, like I said before, inexperienced and young, and China, I mean, do I really need to say any more? Now, on the other hand, we have Palestine, who finally earned their first Asian Cup victory after defeating Hong Kong, and that sealed the deal for them being in the knockouts. They may have finished 3rd in their group, but honestly, this team is consistently improving with every game. They're fishing off the ball, top 6 in recoveries. Attack has shown a lot of promise as well. A total of 12 chances have been created by 2 players in Musab Al-Battat and Mahmoud Abu Warda. And Oday Daba could be a genuine game changer if he can polish up his finishing. He has the most shots on target of any other player in this tournament, and he also has 2 goals to his name. Vanilla predictions are boring and lame, and quite honestly, you guys can play in either way. So I'm gonna go with Palestine here. Qatar loved their build-up play, but Palestine could easily disrupt that rhythm. And finally, we have Uzbekistan versus Thailand, probably the most interesting fixture. We got the Group B winners versus the Group F runners-up, and we're going to start with the Group B winners. Uzbekistan bounced back after a pretty underwhelming start to the tournament. And the thing that separates them from most of the other competition is the fact that they don't discriminate in the way they play. They could go slow build-up, or they could catch you off guard with the direct attack here or there. And then there's Thailand, who are the exact opposite. Their success is because of their formidable defense. The team has a great structure and are more than happy to sit back. And in a group with Oman and Saudi Arabia, this team hasn't conceded once, which really just shows this isn't a fluke. This particular prediction really just depends on someone's preference, which makes it all the more interesting. You either go with the attack or the defense. Who wins there? I'm gonna go with Uzbekistan, who just edged by with maybe like 1 goal. So that was the round of 16 predictions. For the rest of the predictions, I'm gonna keep it pretty short. So we start with the quarterfinal, and we have Tajikistan versus Iraq. Tajiks, you've had a great run. Your own personal Albert Einstein is a genius. I mean, like, No shit, he's Albert Einstein. But unfortunately for you, Iraq are just much stronger. So for this one, Iraq moves on to the semis. Australia versus Saudi Arabia. On paper, this looks like a great matchup. A great match, honestly. But this is probably going to be the worst game of this tournament. But I think in the end, Saudi Arabia escaped. They got home field advantage practically, and they have a little more sharpness to their attack. Iran versus Japan. It's honestly criminal that we have this as a quarterfinal matchup. As much as we've not really gotten the full picture of Iran, Japan just don't really convince me, man. You could bank on their defense, but honestly, that's not really been great either. And, you know, don't forget about Suzuki. I mean, he has to face up against Sardar and Taremi. I just don't think that's going to end well. So I think here, Japan's road ends and Iran shocked the world. Finally, we have Palestine, who reached the quarterfinals for the first time in their history. That'd be incredible. Versus Uzbekistan. Unlike Saudi Arabia, Australia, this could be an attacking classic, because both teams are not afraid to throw punches. But I think in the end, Uzbekistan's physical prowess will come out on top and they win. Now we're into the semis, and we start with Saudi Arabia versus Iraq, a rematch of the 2007 final. And I think there'll be deja vu here, and Iraq will win by a single goal. Iran versus Uzbekistan. Congrats, Iran, your quality will be enough to take you to the final. And now, the final. Iraq versus Iran, a fierce rivalry that always sees emotions high. No doubt, if we get this final, the atmosphere will be absolutely insane. Now, at this point in time, I would say both these teams are evenly matched up. They both have great attacking quality and solid defenses. This one's difficult to honestly predict, but I'm going to go with the miracle of 2007 repeating itself again. Iraq narrowly wins this one, and they become two-time Asian Cup winners. Can't wait to see how this ages. Probably not well. But yeah, those were my predictions. Let me know who you think will win the Asian Cup this year in the comments below. And of course, a massive shout out to all our patrons, including Janos Balas, Chris Damasceno, Milliway009, Adnazir Makalamcom, Aldipu, Alex Rod, Ulta, Anaya20, Araisan, Billy Jack, Daniel Ortiz, Hysteria, Miguel Munoz, Return Fire, Rory Burns, Sliderkit, Snifferx, Taco Okafan, Tana Permilia, Celine Khan, Tomicus, Victor, A1KLCF, Chris Visconsi, Dominic Griffin, Louis Joparicio, Kyler Krebs, Lucian Von Croix, Michael Nista, Nish, Patrick Barley, Rashford God 5, Rowan Cookie, Sylvia Citrus, Subscribe to Tende Tim, and Unbroken Persona. If you'd like to join the Patreon, there'll be a link down below and up in the annotations. I apologize if there's like any background noise. It's kind of raining and there's like cars driving by. I can't do anything about that. But anyways, if you want to, you can follow my Twitter, you can follow my Instagram if you like, follow my TikTok. I don't think you really should do that. And of course, you can follow my actually semi-active Twitch. I've been doing a bunch of watch-alongs, and I'll probably do some more for the knockouts, so definitely tune in for that. But until then, I'll see you guys.